Okay, let's get started. Hello, welcome to Microfocus webinar. My name is Tan Fan. Today, topic will be on ALM Quality Center Client Launcher. For the next 20 minutes, we'll be going over the presentation, and then we'll have a 10-minute Q&A session afterward. The agenda will be the following. First, we will go over the installation and configuration of the ALM Client Launcher. Then we will talk a bit about command line options available with the tools. And then we will talk about OTA Registration, how to do it. Four, we will talk about some of the behavior that you may see with UFT Integration. And then we'll talk about how to switch to embedded browser for SSO authentication. 6, we will talk about how to access ALM lab management and the site admin URL from the client launcher. And then we'll talk a little bit about some known limitations. And then the last 10 minutes, we will do a Q&A session. To begin our discussion, I would like to go over what is the client launcher and why do we want to use it. So the client launcher is a lightweight, portable, and flexible tool that enables you to run an ALM client on any Windows machine with no need for Internet Explorer or admin permissions. So the client launcher was first introduced in ALM 12.6. It has gone through a number of iterations. The current version that is available right now on the marketplace is version 3.1. The most common question asked regarding these tools is, why do you want to use it? We kind of described that already in our intro. So basically, Client Launcher allows you to do away with Internet Explorer, so you can access ALM without having Internet Explorer installed. And 2, you don't need admin permissions to install and register the Client Launcher. Now that we understand what is the Client Launcher, the next question to ask is, where can we download the file, the executable? So basically, if you go to the ALM default page, you will see ALM desktop link. And next to it, there is a shutter icon. You want to click on that icon and it brings you to the download page for ALM Client Launcher. You have here 2 options. You can download the file from the marketplace, or you can download from the ALM server. If you select the first options, it will redirect you to the marketplace, whereby you need to enter your marketplace credential, and then you can download the 2 files you see at the bottom, which is just a user guide PDF file and executable. If you choose the second options, it will allow you to download the file from the ALM server. Please note that the files on the ALM server may be older than what's in the marketplace. So we usually recommend just to go to the marketplace and download the latest version, which is 3.1. Now that you have the executable downloaded to your machine, you can just double click on it and enter your URL. At this point in time, you still cannot access ALM with just the executable. So you need the ALM client to be downloaded to your machine. The way to do that is to go into the tools and click on the customize button you see here. And then you want to select customize client file path. You need to specify a location where you can download and extract the file. Please note that the folder directory that you provide, you need to have the appropriate permissions, meaning that you have full permission of the folder to extract and place the file in this directory. So once you specify the client path, you then tell the tools to go ahead and download the files. Again, you want to go to Customize and select Re-download client files. And the tools will proceed to go to the ALM server, download the zip files, and then extract the content of that zip file to your client path folder. So that's how to do it from the GUI. You can actually do it manually. So the ALM client.zip file is placed on the server. So you just need to navigate to your URL and go to QC Apps, Client Packages, and there'll be a ALM client.zip file that you can download. Once you download the file to your machine, you need to extract the content of the file into your client path folder. And then just bring up the client launcher and tell tools where exactly you place the client files. That's how to do it manually. Now that you have the client files downloaded and installed, you can save your settings as a favorite. This is done by going back to the client launcher. There is favorite buttons on the right-hand side. Just click on that. You would then need to provide a name for your ALM instance, and then once you click on Done, it will be available from the drop-down list you see here. Now, ALM usually send automatic emails such as defect emails to your mailbox. Now, you open the email, you have direct link to your ALM instance. Now, normally you click on that link, it brings up a browser window. You can do the same thing with the ALM Client Launcher. You can go back to ALM Client Launchers, click on the Settings button here. This will bring up the Settings dialog window. You want to go to Open ALM Links with ALM Client Launcher and enable this radio button. And that will allow you to save settings to allow for that to work. Now, if you access ALM through a proxy, you can also edit the settings within the client launcher. So to do that, again, you go back to your settings, and then under the settings, go to web server and proxy settings. Click on this button, arrow button here, and it will bring up the proxy settings dialog window. You want to go to proxy settings, and you have a normal option here. If you choose to use IE proxy settings, please note that for that option, make sure that the user credential is not needed. That's just the proxy settings for client launcher. Now, when you make all the changes in the client launcher, it will store the settings into what's called a launcher.config file. Now, the default location where this file is placed is under your user profile. So you will navigate to see your username, app data, local, and you'll see these files on the machine. This would be where, if you want to enable the log file for client launcher, you will edit these files, and then the log file will be saved on your machine. So this is the location, your configuration files. Now, you can change the configuration location by using command line options. So if you want to know what are the available command line options that you can use, you can bring up DOS prompt and just go in DOS prompt and type in the amclient.exe /?, and it will give you a listing of all the possible options for the command line. And below that's some example on how to use the command line options. Now, previously we walked through on how to install the clients using the GUI. You can actually do the same thing with the command line options. So here I have a command line option to do unattended installation of the client. So what this command line does is tell the tools to bring up the tools and set to unattended mode, meaning no user interaction. Then it will set the client path to the folder you specified. You would then download the client zip file to your local machine, extract the files to your folder directory, and then set the launcher.config files to the same path. So this is done through command line, similar to what we did earlier for using the GUI. So you have two options. You can send the user the executables and then provide them with the command line option to run on their machine. You can also register OTA using command line. So this would be the command line option that you want to use. You want to enter ALM Client Launcher.exe space REG to register space CP to identify the location of your client path. So here is the folder where the client file resides. So it know which client files to where the OTA resides to registered. So OTA registration does not require admin permissions. It also registered the OTA under HKey current user. And sometimes customer may have some incompatibility issues because they have an older version of ALM already installed on the machine, and that version also have OTA registration causing incompatibility issues. In that case, you may want to go to Marketplace and download something called ALM Client Cleanup Tool. You can then run the tool to do a cleanup and then re-register the OTA again. Now, ALM usually have a number of integration tools that are available here. I just have some of the most common one. So you have Business View, Excel add-in, you have Excel macro, you have MF Connect, you have Sprinter, UFT, Word macro, and you may also have other third-party tools that uses OTA to connect to ALM. Now, the question here is, do you need to alter registration for any of this? In some cases you do, in some cases you don't. For example, Business View Excel macro uses REST. So in that case, you don't need to register OTA. But other tools like if you have OTA script that use OTA, then in that case, you do need to register for them to work. UFT is a special case. I will go over that in this next slide. So for UFT integrations, UFT tools allow you to connect to ALM. So when you bring up UFT and connect to ALM, the first thing it does is it tries to detect if you have the ALM's client installed on your machine. So even if you run through the client launch installation, it will still ignore that because it will look for the client files under your user profile, like you see here. If it doesn't see it, it will automatically download the files and would also register OTA. If you run UFT as admin, so you right-click on the UFT icon and say Run as Administrator, then it will register OTA under HQ local machine. If you just run UFT normally, it will register OTA under HQ current user. Once you close UFT, however, it will unregister OTA. So basically, UFT will actually overwrite your existing client launcher registration for OTA. Just to be aware of that. Now, if you're using SSO authentications, normally when you bring the client launcher and enter your URL and click on Go, it'll bring you up a pop-up box. And this pop-up box will be where you authenticate to your IDP server. Now, the default is that it will use your default web browser for the dialog window. And sometimes what ends up happening is that you may see an issue whereby the dialog window will time out and then your authentication will fail, or sometimes it doesn't close properly after authentication. In that case, you may want to look at, if you're on 15.51, to set the WebKit customization. So if you go to your web server, ALM server, go to KCBN apps, there's a tool called WebKit customization. You can download the tools and go to your shared login settings, enable use embedded browser. This will tell the client launcher to use the web browser embedded into the tools instead of IE as the for using with the dialog window. That's for if you want just to do it individually. If you want to set it system-wide, then you want to set this parameter GC here to yes inside admin. Now, you can access a number of sites using the client launcher. So of course you can access the ALM URL. So just here, just HTTP or HTTPS, your server name, port number if needed, and QC bin. You can also access the site admin. So you change it all the way to QC bin, just add site admin. For lab management, similarly, /lab, and then click on go. And that will bring up the 3 different websites. There are some known limitations with the tools. So if you try to log in the stats add-on, you won't be able to do that. Similarly with the API key management and web runner website. For those websites, you will need to bring up a browser to do that. Documentation also say that you may have a limitation on siteminer external authentication, which is not supported. And currently, tools only works on Windows. And that's pretty much it. That's bring us to the end of our presentation. I will go ahead and stop the recording first.